All right, Citi Field, New York, New York. Mayer was standing the whole time for the health update on John Mayer. He also had a Mets shirt on. Maybe that had something to do with his sudden swing to good health there. How
Let's
we doing
fucking
tonight, Wook?
go. You, what are you, an Orioles fan? You watch baseball?
I am an Orioles fan. I've been an Orioles fan since I could walk.
My mom had me as a young child for the '86 World Series, and kept telling me every night, "You're a Mets fan. You're a Mets fan. You're a Mets fan." So I don't even watch baseball, but I have to get excited whenever the Mets are doing well. And luckily or unluckily, that's not that often.
That
But
was Daryl Strawberry's year, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Also, they were where the fantastic Mets play, whatever they call them, the meteoric Mets. Let's give them a new nickname. And we finally got our other stranger. Last time that they played a stranger, it was almost a month to the day. It was May 23rd. So, there we go.
yeah,
T and I always talk about the right song to open to get everybody up to speed. And I
yeah.
do not think Stranger is the right song to open. It has an almost
It felt weird in
it's
that spot.
it's not as brash as it used to be. Bobby
Yeah.
used to hit these power chords and there was the ching ching, and it's missing from the lounge version. And I really have nothing against the way they do it beyond the fact that it used to be fire straight out the box.
Yeah, it seemed a little soft, I guess you is a way you could describe it. And I think I probably would have worked better later in the set for me, but
Well, you know
it's
what you know
fine.
what you know what you need with the stranger is you need to let the good times roll to open. Get
Right.
everybody loosened up and then you go into the stranger. But we got our first Franklins, our first helpless Franklins, as it were. In '89 when they broke out the help slip in Hampton, Franklin's never was without help slip again. But before that, in '87, '88, you used to get the what I call to feel like a Franklin's. You had the Stranger Franklin's dope, and they did it 5 or 6 times, I guess, over that 2 year period. And it was always one of my favorite things. Now, they didn't drop into Franklin's right out of Stranger like they used to. Like there used to be the half beat and they just hit it. It
Yeah.
took them a second, but it did. I texted a friend of ours and I was like, Stranger Franklin's, that's fantastic. He's like, yeah, I had an 88 vibe going. And
Right,
I
which
think
carried through for the rest of the show.
the whole show, the
Yeah, it
whole
was
show.
awesome.
So, what do
I
you
love
think?
how he pays homage to like different time periods and puts that kind of thought into the set list. I think he didn't have to with Dead and Co. And it would probably still be fine if you did just like a big,
Right,
jumbling greatest hits. But those little extra, you know,
nods, yeah.
yeah, I like that.
Right, and then we continue the '88 with the second Mama Tried of tour. There used to be the double cowboy songs. You'd get Me and My Uncle Mama Tried, or Mexicali Big River, or whatever it was. But I like the little. It slowed down a little bit. Yes, we all know that it's slowed down a little bit, but I think that it totally works
What do you
in
guys
that
say? It was
context.
serviceable.
I think it is serviceable.
I
Yes.
think that's a good way to describe it. I mean, nothing too exciting.
Nothing too exciting. And then we get Alabama Getaway, which really wasn't around much in the late '80s and '90s, but another, you know what? Let's talk about John Mayer.
Let's
Now,
talk about
John
John Mayer.
Mayer's first favorite thing was Go to Heaven, Althea. And he
Mhm.
listened to that. Now, in this set, we got a stranger and we got an Alabama Getaway. And I just think for everything from the cover of that album with the band standing in the white suits to the production on it, the crystalline production and the songwriting that they wrote songs. It so is like almost like a Mayer solo album that never existed or something. And I
You
just
could see that influence on Mayer's career.
right, Althea Stranger, Alabama Getaway, all these songs that just it totally works. And I just wanted to I had this whole thing. I was like, we should stick Mayer's face on the cover instead of Jerry and like piss people off.
Trigger everybody. All right, so
Trigger
what you think
everybody.
about the Fantasy Jude? Mr.
Oh,
Fantasy. All right, you tell me first.
Um, it's a Brent thing, and it was fun when Brent did it because Brent didn't do many songs at the time. but I think that I would take something else there. If you wanted to do a cover, throw in the Dear Prudence. I don't know.
I cannot hear this song without hearing it better in my head. I have the Brent version, him singing and doing his thing all coked up. Like I have that so ingrained in my mind. This is one of the few songs. Like obviously you could say that with everything. Like, oh, I could think of Jerry playing it or whatever, but like this one, for whatever reason, I don't want to hear because it just feels so much weaker and not there for me. It just doesn't get there. Everything else about the show I loved. This I was just, I don't know.
Right.
It felt forced.
Well, I think you're right, Dave, that it is a bit overdone right now. The fourth one of the tour, it should be one of those things that's every 10th show, so you might get 3 of them over a tour. I'm with you.
Yeah.
We're at least going to get another one, whether it's Folsom or the Gorge. I mean, actually, we might even get 2 more because we have Boston, Deer Creek, and then 8 shows out west
It's a
from
long
Boulder
tour,
to.
man.
Yeah, that's a lot more shows. All right, and then we get Truckin'. They like to do the little noodling thing around in the beginning of Truckin', and I still feel like it gets discounted. Truckin' was such a monster in 72, 73, 74, and in the 80s it became just like the greatest hits version. It
Yeah.
never was over 7 minutes, and this one, I don't know how long it is off the top of my head, but I feel
Isn't
like
that the times down there? 4 minutes?
no, that's how many times they played it.
Ah.
That's what we were doing with that, yeah.
Oh, well, you should give context to the people, my man.
Well, we have. The people who've been watching, unlike you,
I
know
watch
what's
this
going
shit.
This whole time you're like, damn, they've been doing 2-minute songs? What the fuck?
I don't know.
All right, so Truckin'. Anyway, I feel like the end jam, you could have like a long thing into drums with it, a good 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was a fun version tonight, though. I really enjoyed it. I thought the end of this set after the whole Hey Jude bullshit, like trucking into Deal, I thought was great. Deal was ripping. And I thought the trucking jam was good too. I mean, you're
Right,
right. It wasn't like a big epic jam, but it was a nice first set,
right.
trucking.
I'm with you. And Deal is the classic first set closer. I mean, that's total 80s. You had a deal, so many deals closing so many sets. And Mayor, it's the most played tune on tour now with 6. And Mayor really owns it. He's
Yeah, they
just
got it
fire
locked
on
in.
it.
They got it. They
Right.
got it so locked in.
They did there was a little weird thing at the end of Franklin's where it kind of dropped out, and then it was almost like at the end, Bobby was saying, they were like, don't let the deal go down, and it sounded like it should have ended. Mayor pulled back, and they ran through another 12, 16 bars, and he got some more tasty licks in there at the end before they actually closed it out. So thought that was nice.
Yeah. So overall, pretty decent first set, you think?
Oh yeah, I'd go with that any day of the week.
People were happy. I
People
love
were happy.
watching everybody like
Yeah.
on the webcast. You could see all the people dancing and everything and just enjoying themselves. And you could tell people are starting to get a little more emotional now. The like further we get into tour, and it's dawning on everybody that this iteration is
Right.
gonna be over
Time's
soon.
ticking. 10 more shows as of tomorrow. The next
Yeah.
one in Boston, there's something like that. 11 more. 11 more.
Well, if you're new to the channel, make sure you tune in 15 minutes after encore after each of those shows. Kev and somebody will likely be here. Although I think Sunday might be me and someone else. But we'll be here 15 minutes after encore. Best way is to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications. Then your phone or computer will remind you that we're doing these after shows. Also, if you feel so inclined and you want to help support the channel, there should be a little $sign for super thanks or super chat. All money goes directly to back into the channel, and we got a lot of things planned for this summer. We'll also be doing after shows for Fish Tour this year, and we got some other
Live
things in
on
the works. So.
Wednesday. This next upcoming Wednesday, we got Live. The week after, we probably won't have it because I believe that there is a Dead and Company show. So we
Yeah,
have to see how that falls out. But we'll definitely be here this week. And hopefully, what we're hoping is to have Matt Bush come on once the tour is over and he has a chance to settle down, maybe break it down. I had suggested to Wook earlier to break out. We did something a few years back called the Grateful Bracket, and it was
Right.
just Grateful Dead songs to see which song was the greatest Grateful Dead song
I
ever. And
love that bracket. That was like one of my favorites.
spoiler alert, Terrapin won. And I'm trying to get him to redo it minus the Terrapin like we do with the fish bracket. But anyway, I was saying we should figure out what the top 8 songs were, and then we can compare the versions over the Dead and Company tour and drag Matt into something
Well,
like that.
I think we need to do a patient, longer episode with Matt. Maybe instead
Yeah,
of cutting it off at the hour, do like 90 or 2 hours or something, and just really get into the weeds and go into some of
about
the
the
stuff from
tour.
tour and talk about his
Uh,
favorite songs and all that.
yeah, exactly. So that's where we're going with that. So stay tuned.
Stay
All right.
tuned.
We got set 2. Scarlet and Fire got back together. Now, Scarlet and Fire were in the late 80s, and the
Mhm.
90s were, I mean, from 77 on, I guess. Once Fire appeared, it played a few times, and then it joined with Scarlet, and they've been joined at the hip ever since. They've been doing a good job of keeping them split. Out of the 5 times Scarlet and the 5 times Fire have been played, they've only been played together twice.
Yeah, which is
So
the right move because it was great to hear them together again tonight. And when they're always together, you
if
don't
you're like,
get that.
oh,
But
I'm getting
I was
Fire right.
kind of happy. I wasn't sure what they were going to do when they started with Skylar, and when they went into Fire, I was like, all right, awesome. I felt good tonight.
Right. It's like if you always are getting a Scarlet Fire, when they went into Scarlet, you were like, I know what my next 20 minutes are, you know? And then once in a while, like they did a touch once, they did a Scarlet Touch, maybe in 89. They did a Scarlet Victim at one point, but
Yeah.
into Fire on the other side. I mean, they did. Can we just jump to Eyes?
I know.
Let's get into the 88. I tell you, Scarlet Fire estimated Eyes just off the top. I know I saw. And I know that there's an Alpine tape from 88 that I'm pretty sure has it. I think it was one of the most played 4 songs into drums at that time. And I don't
You were
know
funny as
if
shit in the chat, though. I think right when Estimated started, you're like, well, I guess we're getting Eyes next, or something like that. And then they started playing Eyes. It's like, holy shit. But I mean, I guess it's not that impressive, but it was still kind of cool the way you just kind of
right.
subtly threw it in
Well,
there.
you don't get that anymore, though. I mean, the one time Mayer screwed up and played Eyes before Estimated.
Right.
And then
That
there
was
was
that.
also an Eyes one time without an Estimated and an Estimated without an Eyes. So,
Yeah. I really liked this beginning of the set. I mean, I'm a huge Estimated Prophet fan. That's probably top 5 songs for me. And they've been playing it fantastic this tour. But that Eyes was just,
right.
highlight of the show, I
Yeah.
think.
I mean, O'Teal gets nasty on
Dude.
Estimated with that bass. I'm just
Yeah, he was awesome.
right. And then Eyes, again, it's the O'Teal show. They had a great shot of Mayer not even playing. He was just kind of like leaned back with his guitar, watching O'Teal at the end of that for the jam. I believe that this was the longest Eyes of the tour. They've all been running 22 minutes, except for the last one they did was only 17. But I think that this one pushed 24 minutes. So,
Yeah. No, it was great. I think the overall this summer, I feel like it's been the Jeff Johns show, but every once in a while, O'Teal reminds you just how phenomenal he is, and
mm,
you know,
yep,
Eyes is a great
exactly.
showcase for him.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I felt like there was a new breakdown. I'm going to have to go listen. You know how they have the new breakdown in Eyes? Toward the
Hmm.
end of it, they have this, they added a musical section. I call it a breakdown. I think that there was a new breakdown where the new breakdown was tonight. Like they tried something
Wait,
else
say that
different
again. You
than the
lost me
last time.
there.
Well, they
A
have the
newer breakdown at the new breakdown. So like
yes,
they had
yes,
the new breakdown, but now there was a newer
right. It's like
interlude.
1.3. Yeah. They totally just upped it. It might have been me hearing it in that moment and making shit up, but I'm gonna have to go back and check that out. Drums, but let me ask you, we were talking the other night. I was saying about being in Philly, that drums and the beam and space were nowhere near as interesting to me as being able to sit home and watch them
Yeah.
with the close-ups. I know some people are like, all that screen foolery, what are we doing? Let's look at the lights. But
Also,
for
yeah.
me, it engages me more. And I was wondering, what you think about that? Like being in the moment, sometimes things aren't as you don't embrace them as much because there's so much other stuff going on.
All right, I'm going to try to give a concise answer. You asked me a very interesting question, so I'm going to break it into a couple points. I think for me, in my limited experience, one of the issues with drum space in person is it doesn't necessarily capture everyone around me. And when people around me are pulled out of it, it's hard for me to stay in it. Whereas when you're home, you can really focus and lock in. As far as the camera trickery, I don't like that. I don't like the weird like whoa 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 and like the trippy effects. I think that if I want to do that recreationally, I'll do that. I'll control right my state of mind on it. But I actually do like watching it on camera though, because I like as a drummer really enjoy seeing the different toys they're hitting and playing. In general, with drums though, and this I don't want to be hypercritical. I feel like Mickey is slipping this tour. He came out really hot in the beginning of tour, and some of those drums towards the beginning were some of the better drums I had heard him play in a very long time. And the last couple that I've seen, I think I don't know. He's just maybe I'm being hypercritical, or maybe you can only hear so many drums in a row without getting like whatever. But to me, I feel like he's slipping a little bit. He's not on top
Ooh.
of it as much.
Wow. I'm
And
just gonna leave
particularly
that.
during
I'm gonna
drums.
I'm gonna leave that there. I'm
Yeah,
just
let's
gonna
just let
leave
it
that.
sit there. Fuck it, I don't care.
No,
Do with that
no,
what you will. He's
have
serviceable.
have you heard of that every night's supposed to be a different theme? Have you factored that into your equation?
Yeah, I've been following that, like the random instruments he's been introducing and the themes and shit, and I dug it. Like honestly, I think they're okay now. It's he was doing so much better at the beginning of tour. Like some of those drums, like I think in LA, and there were a couple early on were like actually standout. Like because how often do you actually like when you're talking about a show, be like, oh, that drums? But like there were a couple in the beginning that like really stood out, and now I think they set the bar too high early on.
Right. It's also the doing it every night.
Yeah,
It breeds complacency, you know?
yeah. I mean, he's fine. Like he's doing great,
Oh, I'm
and
not
like
even going there. I'm just leaving that out there. Gonna let that one hang. So all blues, I called it Love Supreme. I even tweeted Love Supreme, which I knew it wasn't what it was. It was all blues. It's fantastic. I love that. I apparently they haven't done that from what I was told since June of last year. So that's the bust out for the night, first time.
yeah, it's a cool way to come out of space too. I think it's fun.
I wish they had, they got milestones. They got all blues. I know they've done Love Supreme before. Footprints. I guess is that a Wayne Shorter tune? Maybe it's a milestone. I don't know. They have like a little pool of them. I would like to see, or I would have liked to see that happen more. But I guess it also you're going to throw all blues in there. It's eating 5-6 minutes up
Right,
of your limited time in a set.
right,
So Cumberland, All Star, 3 gold stars, MVP, just
right.
and tonight was not the best one. Tonight was probably, if we were going to rank them, tonight would probably be at the bottom. It was the shortest. It seemed a little rushed, but still fire.
Let's detour real quick because we're flying through this. What do you think? I have some thoughts too as to what I think, but what do you think the MVP songs from this tour so far are?
Definitely Cumberland.
Yeah, what other ones though?
I feel like every estimated has been strong. If I can say a group of songs, the Pigpen tunes that Mayer has been doing, he seems to nail every one of them. Hurt Me Too, Big Boss Man, even the Jerry ones, Big Railroad Blues. I
I
think
think
that
I was gonna say I think Brown Eye Women is up there too. I think those have been phenomenal this tour.
right, definitely punching above its weight class.
Yeah, but no,
Definitely.
it's I think Cumberland's definitely in that conversation as for this tour is definitely an MVP.
Oh yeah.
And you're right, not as much tonight, but it was still good. It was
It
still
was
okay.
still fantastic. I would take that any day of the week coming out of space. It's fun.
Yeah, and yeah, Steve Deal too. I think we mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
They got that so locked in.
Right, and they played it, yeah, it was the 6th time, Steve, and, so they're definitely are comfortable in that space,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one there. Hopefully, we get one into drums at some point. That would be fun. Wait, let Deal go out maybe one more
Yeah.
time. All right, then we got our Watchtower. I've been waiting on another Watchtower. They've done two in the second set, one in Dallas, and then there was a first set Watchtower. I definitely feel like it belongs in the second set. You were saying to me that the end of it you're not sure about, and I was like, well, I don't think anybody's ever been sure about the end of Watchtower, even Dylan. But what were you trying to get? Where were you going with that?
I I know that, and especially reaffirm that that's kind of just how it ends, right? But it's felt very abrupt, even more so than usual to me, where it was like second guessing. Oh, I guess we're done. Oh, do right, and
Right,
I feel like that's such a staple and classic jam that by now they should have figured out a good way to segue
right, right.
out into something else or
Right.
do some sort of interlude.
I feel like it worked best with when they used to do Watchtower Black Peter,
Yeah.
because Black Peter just almost winds down any way you have to wind down. But I just don't think they nailed it. I think if they had nailed it right and all stopped, and then
It
OTL
felt a
had a
little
pop.
rocky, right?
Yeah, it did feel a little. I think the between Scarlet Fire, it was a little rocky. They were a little.
And
eh,
actually, Watchtower too, I felt like it got there, but I mean, eventually it really locked in. But even the beginning of that was a little rocky. There was a little bit of unsteadiness at points tonight, I think.
you
But
gotta have those nights. They haven't played a
yeah,
Thursday all tour. Maybe it's the Thursday night thing. Somebody was trying to get backstage to watch The Real Housewives or
no,
something, and
or but wait, but let's not twist it because those were isolated moments. I think
yeah,
overall tonight was a killer show.
right,
I was
yeah,
very happy. I thought they were absolutely playing their asses off tonight. I didn't mean to say like that. I just think there were isolated moments where they're like, "Oh, the boat was a
right,
little rocky." They lock in, and then everything was great.
right. And do is just, if you want to know how to do the classic build and release, you sign up for Morning Dew 101. And I think most jam bands have, but nobody does it better than them to go almost completely quiet and just build it. Take 2 minutes, take 3 minutes. Let's get it until where everybody's just going off. I mean, there's nothing like the power of seeing Morning Dew live when it just locks in at the end. And then, there's the last line of the vocal. And Bobby nails that. He does a good job. He's a good custodian for Morning Dew.
Yeah, I agree.
You
I
know.
agree.
And Broke Down. I love Broke Down. I cried more than once when the Dead played it, thinking about my mother, the mama,
Yeah,
mom, in many worlds I've come. So,
it's great. I think I think that's appropriate for this tour too. I think we're probably gonna get it another maybe 2 or 3 times.
yeah, two times probably. I think
Yeah,
maybe get one you'll get one in Boulder, and then you'll get one in San Fran. They
San
have to do
Francisco.
it in San Fran.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we need to make an office pool. Black Peter's way up there in my picks list too. I'm waiting. I think we're going to get a Black Peter this weekend in Boston. So you're supposed to start the music then for the outro.
Oh, is that it? I didn't know it was my job.
We're professionals.
Yeah, no,
Saturday,
we did good
Sunday,
tonight,
we'll
man.
be here.
All right, guys. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.